Hey, welcome back. If you are new to the channel, welcome. And what mainly happens here is stuff with orchids. Occasionally I will do occasional house plant type video, but mainly it is about orchids and mostly about Phalaenopsis because they are my favorite orchids still so far. But today what I'm going to do is repot my RLC Chia Golden Super crossed by RLC HIlo Grand. There we go. Okay, according to the pictures that I've looked up on her, it should be a red one. And I've had her since April of last year. She has put on 4 growths since then and is finishing off this one here. Let me just show you the size of her leaves. Look at those leaves, they're ginormous. But she has lots of new root growth going on here, as you can see. She is finishing off this one here, and then she has 2 new growths. One on this right here, the latest growth, and then one on the previous growth. And I feel like now is a good time to repot her before those growths start maturing so that she doesn't grow out of the pot and then is all wanky. I do grow in my living room, so I have to keep them kind of in a controlled growing pattern. So I did soak her earlier just because the bark, like I said, has been in there for a year. I'm sure there's a lot of dead roots in there. Cattleyas are known for dropping their roots and creating a new root system every year. From what I've read, watched, heard, the unifoliate or monofoliate single leaf Cattleyas are not as finicky about repots as your bi-foliates. So I went ahead, like I said, and I soaked her just to make sure that the bark on here was nice and wet and easy to remove, just in case any of the good roots are stuck to it. So I do have her kind of all tied up in here, so let's get all those out. There we go. And I do have some new bamboo skewers just because these have been in here for a while. So, and then I actually have one actual bamboo skewer that's actually made out of bamboo that is still really good, so we might be using that one as well. We will wait and see. There we go. All right. And when I do put her back in a pot, I am going to use those bamboo skewers as like a cage and then kind of tie it up to kind of help her kind of be a little more compact and growing better. So let's move scissors out of the way and see what we've got going on. All right. It's the point of no return, guys. Let's grab her from this side. And I need to be extra careful with the roots that she is producing. So let's just keep squeezing her. Let's see if I can pull. There we go. All right. So let's see. Well, yeah, as expected, a lot of the roots in the middle are gone, but that's okay. Like I said, she does have this new root system that she is currently developing, and then a couple of the older roots, as you can see, do have growing tips on them where they're branching, so that is good. But a lot of these up here, like these are mainly desiccated. But again, she still has quite a few roots that are in here that look like they're bad, but from feeling on them, they're not all bad. So even though they look bad, maybe it's just a matter of cleaning them up and seeing what's going on. So I need to be, like I said, careful because a lot of these do have some root tips that are growing and they're branching. So I want to be extra careful with that and not break any of those because, like I said, from what I understand, the monofoliates are not as finicky on the repot, but I don't want to take my chances either if I can avoid it. Again, being very careful with all these new roots coming in off of the latest growth. Let's gently take all this off of here. And the bark actually doesn't smell that bad. It still smells like fresh bark, and it's still pretty firm, as you can see. Like, I can't really, let's get one of the bigger pieces here. Look at that. It's still really, really firm. So I know now I can leave it in there for 2 years. But the main reason I am repotting her is just because of the way that this growth is going to go. I don't want it to be for another year, because then she is going to grow out of the pot, and that's going to pose a problem with where she sits on the shelf. So I want to get ahead of the game. So, and she's never bloomed for me. I probably won't get a bloom off the latest growth, just because I am now repotting her. Did I break it? No, I did not. Cool. And disturbing her a little bit. But I did buy her at near blooming size, so who knows when that will be. I'm just glad that she's a continuous grower, so as soon as one growth is at this point here where the main sheath is starting to harden off, she starts working on the next growth as well as the roots. So this is a good time to repot her, like I said, because she does have those new roots coming in. And I have a big piece of bark right here. So now let's lay her down and let's get to cutting. Well, let's let those go off a little bit. And as with all orchids, if you can pull on them and the velamen comes off, orchid is no good. Orchid is no good. Roots are no good. So, all right. Let's get going on cleaning her up. All right, so I am going to take off these two seedling bulbs just to give me a little bit more room. I'll leave this one on here just because it's got a nice big leaf on it and it's got a nice pseudobulb. So I am going to just cut her right there. And as we all do, we all look for the ring, and we have a clean orchid. Yay! All right, I'll put cinnamon on that after I rinse her off and get her cleaned up. There's no point in putting it on there now because, well, I'll just wash it back off. All right, continue to cut roots. All right, so this is what we have left here. Not too shabby. I know a lot of people would have probably just cut all this and then just not worried about it. But I am very particular with the roots. And again, she's probably going to dump most of these anyway, but at least she has something to sustain herself until these new babies can get into the media. And by taking off those 2 smaller back bulbs, I can set her further back. Obviously, I'll probably try to set her and leave room here, because with me cutting that rhizome, it might encourage a new growth on this side. I doubt it, but this one here does have an eye on it that has done nothing since I've gotten it. But we will see. And then also there's a potential new growth right here. You can see that one. So I will go rinse her off at the sink, kind of clean this all up, and then we will get her potted back up. All right, so we are back. Probably should have drank my coffee before I started again, but so I have rinsed her off really well under the sink. And as you can see, I mean, they are some tired looking roots, but you know what? They're enough to sustain her. And there's lots of new root growth and branching right in this, especially this area here. And then I went ahead and put the cinnamon on our cut here. So ideally, what I would like to do, just because she is a top heavy plant, is I'd like to pot her in here. So let's see if she is going to fit in here before we make the final decision. See, and give her at least, you know, 2 years worth of growth in here. Let's see. I put it about like that, because then if that does, if this, where we cut earlier, if that does decide to shoot out a new growth, there's still room here. And then she's got room here for the 2 growths that are coming and maybe 2 more. So I think we'll put her in this pot. All right, I am going to, there's a hole at the bottom of this. I am going to grab one of the flatter pieces. Let's see if we can find a bigger flatter piece to put at the bottom. So what I'm going to pot her in is what she came out of, which is all large bark with the larger perlite, as well as I've added charcoal this time, because that is something I am new in using. There we go, that'll work. All right, and then let's put just a little bit at the bottom, not too much. Now, if I need to cut these roots to make room, I will. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and do that now, because she is a branching root system. And since I just basically soaked her and she's plenty wet, I don't need to re-water or anything for at least a couple of days, and that will give those roots time to settle in. Let's just gently. Now, the only thing about putting it in this clay pot is, of course, I won't be able to be nosy and look in the pot at the roots, but that's okay, because with those holes at the bottom, because there's holes on the sides here, if you can see. I wish it was one of those really pretty ones that have the bunch of holes in them. And eventually I will make one of those. I'm just not ready for that. So let me just pour some of this in here. And I did bring my tub just in case I did not grab enough of the media to put in. And again, I'm being very, very cautious of where these new roots are, because I do not want to damage any of them. So, because that would be not a catastrophe, because I mean, she is growing them, but at the same time, you know, don't want to break it. They're so pretty. I just think when new roots grow on an orchid, they are just, oh my goodness, they're just so pretty. I just love watching them grow. Okay, get it all in there, and grab one of my bamboo skewers so I can kind of use the flat tip part of it, so I'm not poking any roots. And get that in there. And the good thing about Cattleya is they're like Phalaenopsis, they don't mind air pockets. I'd rather enjoy it. It helps with the quick wet dry cycle that they do prefer. So, and then in this clay pot, because the clay pot will also kind of absorb the moisture, it will help her with that quick wet dry cycle a little bit better. There we go. Thanks. Let's see. Get some more on this side here. A little bit here. And then push her in. And this is the side with the new roots, so having to be very, very cautious of what I am doing. There we go. And then one of those new roots is actually now going to go in the media because it is getting potted in the media. And then also with Cattleya, remember you want to keep the rhizome above the media. You don't want to bury it into the media because then it will have the potential to rot. And then guess what? Your orchid will go bye-bye. Oh my goodness. You know what? I have her too far this way. Okay. Well, and try it again. Because that would have defeated the purpose of repotting her because she was way too close to the edge where I did not want her. All right, take two. And careful. There we go. All right, try it again. There we go. That's where we want her. So, and actually at this angle, I can actually see the big hole in the middle, so that will work better. Again, being very careful because the side I am on is the one with all that lovely new root growth on it, so don't be poking and prodding and killing those, right? Turn her around again. And we'll put some here. But like I was saying, make sure that you keep your rhizome above the media so that it does not rot. And like I said, I'm leaving enough room here just in case us cutting the back off triggers a growth on this back one back here. So it has room to grow and branch out if it needs to. It'd be nice. This way make it a bigger plant. Not that Big Mama's not already a big plant. I know that's not her official name, but that's what I call her. And if you stay till the end, I've got a surprise for you. It was quite a surprise for me coming home from work yesterday. I was very, very excited to see it. So, like I said, stick around and you too shall be surprised. Let's see. Take a couple of pieces and just hand push them in there. Again, with that new root there. Be very, very careful. Okay. And not everyone believes in soaking their orchids before they repot it. Again, you have to do what works for you. That just seems to work for me. I find that the roots are a little more pliable. I'm less likely to break them during the repot because it makes them a little more pliable. So obviously with newer roots, you still have to be really, really careful because they don't necessarily absorb any water right away until they get to be a certain length. Like this root that is right here, I'll show you guys after I stabilize her a little bit. But the root that is the longest and it's been growing, that one is just starting to absorb water. So the newer ones, the little short ones that are mainly just the tip, those don't generally absorb water right away until they get to be about ½ inch to 1 inch long, depending on the orchid. All right. So now what we're going to do is we are going to make a ring. So we want to do one here, and definitely want to do one where this new growth is. Where are my roots? There they are. Be careful. Okay. Let's push it out a little bit further. About right there. Okay. And then we'll put one on either side here. Put one here. One here, and you know what, let's just do this here. Put one in each corner of the pot, corner in a circle. So what I'm going to use is this Velcro tie stuff that you can normally find for tomato plants, but I like the fact that it is Velcro. You can actually attach it straight to the plant if need be, because the inside is really soft. It's like almost like a little cotton material. So let me just wrap that piece here, and then we are going to do just a little tighter here. Let's see. There we go. And now just press down just a little bit to get that bark all in there nice and secure. See, do we need to add bark anywhere? Probably a couple little pieces right here just to kind of help hold that stake in place. Same thing over here. Tighten that one. This one we'll tighten there, and then we'll just grab this piece and put it right there. All right. So now, all right, well, there we have her, girl. Look at that little girl. So, but what I was saying earlier is that root that you see right there on top, right here, it has just started absorbing water. So it is still not like quickly absorbing it, but it is starting to put a little bit of green. You can tell it's getting that water. All right, and then I will put the tag on there, and then hopefully we will get a bloom one day. So this right here, guys, I would normally pull this off, but I am going to be very patient, and I'm going to wait until it dries and this pseudobulb finishes and busts it before I pull it off. I don't know, it's on there for a reason, okay? So don't know really what the reason is, but it's on there for a reason. So I'm just going to stop being nitpicky, and I'm just gonna leave it on there. I'm gonna put another little piece right here, because I just feel like that's gonna wanna come off. And then I will obviously have to be very careful with her for the next few weeks until the roots kind of start settling in and she gets a little bit more stable in the pot. As well as when I water her, I'll have to be careful of the new growths coming out. I do want this little piece here. There we go. I do want, because I want to encourage those roots to go down in the pot. There we go. All right, and then because you don't want to get water on the new growth, as it might rot it and then keep it from moving forward. So idea is for the new growth to continue growing, but we do have, so we have a potential for a growth here, we have a potential for a growth here, and then of course this one already has her new growth going, as well as this one over here is going to be working on a new growth. So we have the potential for each pseudobulb to create a new growth outside of this back one that is one of the older ones, this last one that we left on here. All right, guys, so here is Big Mama's home. or the Golden Super, but I call her Big Mama, because until recently she was the largest orchid that I had, and specifically the largest Cattleya. But so this is where she has been residing, and this is where she will be for the foreseeable future until she starts growing into the shelf up there. But I promised you a surprise, didn't I? Well, boom. So the RLC Miko Arakai Volcano Queen that I bought from Fantasy Orchids about a week ago in bud was open when I got home yesterday. When I left, the bud was still just barely opened at the tip. I came home and she was open, of course not this like this, but she was open quite a bit, and then throughout the rest of the evening and then into today, this is what we get. Now she's supposed to be a soft yellow with a pink lip. So if you look, let me just see if we can see. Do you see the yellowing in there a little bit? I think she's going to be a color changer, obviously. Now if she ends up just not being what I purchased, I'm not going to be too upset because she is gorgeous. But let me turn the light off real quick. Hold on, let's see if we can do this without too much trouble here. Let's turn the grow lights off and see, because you can see that yellow a little bit better. Do you see that? How she's starting to get yellow in the center, like right in here? So it's going to be interesting to see her changing through the next few days, and interesting to see how long it takes her to get her true color in. All right, well guys, I hope you enjoyed your surprise, and I hope you enjoyed the repot. I know I enjoyed doing it, and I was surprised at the amount of roots I was able to save. So if you guys have any thoughts, comments, any other videos you'd like to see, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. And again, I appreciate you watching, and have a great day.